The story of Akama began long before its fall, in a time when the town was a paradise on earth. Nestled in a lush valley, surrounded by thick forests, clear rivers, and golden fields, the people of Akama lived in harmony with nature. Generations had tilled the fertile land, hunted in the forests, and fished in the rivers. They understood the delicate balance of their world and cherished it deeply. In Akama, wealth was measured not by gold or jewels but by the health of the land and the strength of the community. The town's elders, wise and respected, often spoke of the sacred bond between the people and the earth. They believed that as long as the town lived with respect for nature, it would continue to thrive. But there was a prophecy, one whispered from parent to child, elder to youth. It foretold that one day a test would come to Akama. A great temptation would descend upon the town, and only those with hearts pure and strong would withstand it. If the people succumbed to greed, Akama would be lost forever. Years passed, and the prophecy was almost forgotten. The town prospered, untouched by the troubles of the outside world. That is, until one fateful day, when a stranger arrived. He came with the evening mist, a merchant draped in exotic silks, his body adorned with gems that shimmered in the fading light. His arrival was met with curiosity, for travelers seldom found their way to Akama, a town so remote that it seemed hidden from the world. The merchant spoke in honeyed tones, his voice weaving tales of riches beyond imagination. He claimed to have visited lands where mountains of gold rose to the heavens, where one could buy eternal youth, power, and even life itself. The people were intrigued but wary. Their lives were simple and peaceful, and few desired anything more. However, the town's leaders, who had grown tired of their humble existence, listened more closely. They dreamed of wealth, of power, of being more than just caretakers of a small town. The merchant sensed their eagerness and began to plant seeds of greed in their minds. "Look around you," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "Your land is beautiful, but what good is beauty without wealth? You sit on riches you cannot see, and with my guidance, you could be kings, not mere caretakers of this village." The leaders, once wise and respected, began to change. They convened a council, and the merchant was invited to speak. His words dripped with temptation. He told them of the vast fortune they could amass by cutting down the great forest that surrounded the town. The wood, he claimed, was in high demand in faraway cities and could fetch a price beyond their wildest dreams. At first, there was resistance. Many in the town protested. The forest was sacred, they said. It was home to spirits that had protected Akama for generations, and the trees had stood longer than anyone could remember. But the leaders, now seduced by the merchant's promises, ignored the warnings. They convinced the townspeople that this was the path to a greater future, one where Akama would be known far and wide, not for its simplicity but for its wealth. And so, the cutting began. Day by day, the forest shrank. The trees that had once provided shade and shelter were felled, their roots ripped from the earth. The rivers, once full of fish, began to dry up, their sources poisoned by the destruction of the forest. The fields, which had always yielded golden harvests, turned barren. But the leaders didn't care. They saw only the growing pile of coins, the wealth they believed would save them from their humble existence. But the merchant wasn't finished. He returned to the leaders, his eyes gleaming with a sinister light. "There is more," he whispered. "Below your feet lies an even greater treasure, gold. It runs deep within the earth, waiting for you to claim it. All you need to do is dig." Greed had taken full hold of the leaders by now. They ordered the townspeople to begin digging. Every man, woman, and child was forced to toil under the scorching sun, their hands blistered and their backs aching. The deeper they dug, the more the earth groaned in protest. Strange tremors began to shake the ground, and the sky, once clear and blue, became dark and foreboding. But still, no gold was found. Desperation set in. The leaders, driven mad by their lust for wealth, demanded more digging. The townspeople, weakened by exhaustion and fear, obeyed. Homes began to sink into the ground, swallowed by the gaping pits that dotted the landscape. The earth, once fertile and alive, had become a hollow shell. It was then that the merchant vanished, as mysteriously as he had come. Some said he was a demon, sent to test the town's heart. Others believed he was a trickster spirit, sent to punish Akama for forgetting its connection to the land. Whatever the truth, he left behind only ruin. The town, once so vibrant, was now a wasteland. The rivers were dry, the fields were dead, and the forest was gone. The people, once proud and united, were scattered and broken. The leaders, in their final act of desperation, gathered the remaining townspeople and pleaded for forgiveness. But it was too late. The earth beneath them opened up in one last, violent tremor, swallowing the leaders whole. Akama was left desolate, its people too weak to rebuild. The once thriving town became nothing more than a cautionary tale, a place of dust and shadows where no one dared to linger. For many years, Akama remained a ghost town, a warning to all who passed by. But one day, a young girl from a neighboring village came to the ruins. She knelt on the cracked earth, whispering prayers of forgiveness and hope. Her hands, small but determined, planted a single seed. Slowly, the earth began to heal. Tiny flowers bloomed where her tears had fallen, and the air, once thick with despair, began to clear. The rivers, long dry, trickled back to life. The forest, though still bare, began to show signs of returning. The lesson of Akama had been learnt. Greed had destroyed the town, but humility, patience, and hope could restore it. The story of Akama lives on, a reminder that true wealth is not found in gold or power, but in the harmony between people and the world around them. And that even in the face of destruction, there is always a chance for redemption if one is brave enough to seek it. As the story of Akama reminds us, the pursuit of wealth and power can lead to the destruction of all we hold dear. Greed consumed the town, but it was humility, patience, and hope that began its healing. So, ask yourself, what is the true value of the things you chase? Let's not forget the lessons of Akama, that in the end, it's not about what we take from the world, but what we give back to it. If you found this story thought-provoking, be sure to like the video, subscribe to Folktales of Many Tribes, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another tale. We want to hear your thoughts. Could the people of Akama have made a different choice? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, stay curious and always listen to the wisdom of the past.